as an entrepreneur, odds are you're going to have to travel. And so here's my list of 5 things to do, 5 things to buy, and 5 things to carry after all the many, many years I've been traveling, both nationally and internationally. The first thing, and probably the most important thing, is to make a list for yourself of what makes travel easier or better for you. I used to travel with a friend of mine, John Wattendorf. His idea of good travel was to arrive last thing and be the first one out to go home. My idea of making travel easier is to arrive early, have a chance to sort of settle in, and then be the last one out. You may want to be one of those fly in, fly out, sort of crash and dash kind of people, or you may be the more leisurely kind of traveler like me. But think about the things that make travel easier for you. And then make those lists and then plan your travel accordingly. One of the things that will make it much easier for you is to pick an airline, pick a hotel chain, and pick a credit card company and use those consistently. Here's the reason why. The more you fly on an airline or the more you stay at a certain hotel, you build up a relationship, you build up frequent flyer points, you build up hotel points, and you build up credit card points that can be applied to either one of those, and that will enhance your status on those hotels or those airlines, which will get you better rooms, better flights, all those kinds of things. The third thing I'd mention is just my own personal what makes life better for me, and that is I never fly red-eye flights. I don't want to arrive someplace and be totally tired and try to start my day from there. So I tend to wait till the next day. Red-eye flights, I think, are really hard on a person's body and mental health. The fourth thing is you may want to consider being in an airline lounge. All the airlines have them, and there are a couple of universal airline lounges, like One World. That gets you away from the maddening crowd in the airport terminal and a place where you can have a drink and something to eat and more comfortable chairs, and it's a little more quiet. They oftentimes have areas where you can do work. It's just a much better feeling having to wait many hours, especially for a long layover or if your flight is delayed, in an airport lounge rather than in the terminal somewhere. The last thing I'd say is what they call Bleisure, and that is, are there ways that you can combine things you want to do or places you want to go or things you want to see with your business travel? So if you're going to St. Louis, you might as well try to see the famous arch. If you're going to San Francisco, down to the waterfront. Enjoy some of those things that are normally considered vacation or leisure with your business travel if you can. Oftentimes you can do that with a client or a customer or a stakeholder. Okay, those are the 5 things to do. In terms of 5 things to buy, number 1 is buy a good suitcase. I'm talking about Travel Pro, Toomey, one of those. It's going to last you forever. It won't break down. There's nothing worse than dragging a suitcase with one broken wheel through the airport. It's worth it to have a good one. They'll last forever. Spend the extra money and do it right. The second thing that I'd say is I have all my stuff in a tech bag. And so in one place is all my extension cords, my international adapters, my earbuds, all those kinds of things I'm going to need, and I have it all in one place. It's not all tangled up and I didn't forget anything. The third thing, and this is really important, carry a medicine bag. I have a small bag that I carry things like Band-Aids and ibuprofen, Excedrin, but you also want to be prepared for when things go wrong. My doctor was very kind and gave me a prescription for what's called a Z-Pack. In other words, it's a very strong antibiotic. So if I'm ever overseas and all of a sudden I come down with something really bad, I can just take that Z-Pack and start an antibiotic treatment without trying to find a French doctor and trying to figure out how to explain to him what's wrong with me and so on. So I carry things like Imodium just in case I get sick. The fourth thing to buy is TSA, PreCheck, and Global Entry, those things that can get you through the airport easier and faster. I mentioned the airline lounges. That's another thing you'll have to pay for unless you can do it through points on your credit card. Many credit cards offer the airline lounges as a benefit to the credit card. Things to carry business cards. I know it seems old-fashioned, but you don't know where you're going to be when someone says, oh, that's really interesting. Do you have a card? And you don't want to say, well, can I do the airdrop? And I know I'm on my, can you just give me a card? So carry some business cards. You'll look very professional, and you never know when you're going to need them. Carry an extra day's clothing, including a sport coat. Now you may think, oh, that's so old-fashioned. It's not. Steve Jobs, who is like the star of dressing casual, he actually always carried a suit with him whenever he traveled. The reason is he said he may end up having to talk to a banker, and he wants to look like a banker when he talks to a banker. So carry a sport coat. You never know if a client is going to say, hey, would you like to go to this? And the appropriate dress is a sport coat. You don't want to go shopping in the middle of a business trip. So just carry a sport coat. It's an extra layer of clothing, if nothing else. I also carry a light fleece in my computer bag, my carry-on, so that if I'm cold in an airplane or someplace that's the air conditioning really high, like they tend to in Texas or Florida, I can just put that on and I'm more comfortable. So I always have a couple layers, and they're just rolled up and put in the bottom of my bag where my computer goes in. It creates a little more cushion there too. I carry a copy of my ID, in other words, my passport, my driver's license, my credit cards, all those kinds of things, in case I ever lose my wallet, in case I ever need to prove my identification anyway. I have a copy of all those things that I normally carry with me. If I get lost, I have all those. The last thing I'd mention is I carry a very small, lightweight backpack that just crumples up into almost nothing. I put that in my bag because sometimes you'll want to go someplace and you want to carry your stuff, but you don't want to carry it in your hand where everyone can see it. Or if you're going to go shopping, you may want to buy some things. You just toss them in the little backpack, and it's a handy thing to have. So I hope this helps you with your entrepreneurial travel and you have good business success. Enjoy your travel. It's not just all work.